Alright, hello again everybody. Welcome to our next lesson here. This is the New South. This is for our unit reconstruction. This is our last lesson in our unit reconstruction. So our objectives and standards, you will be able to explain the growth of industry in the South and identify how African Americans struggled in the New South. And take a moment there to look over the objectives, please. Standards, I'm sorry. Look over the standards, please. I apologize. All right. And our desired result? What changes came about in the New South? So, creating a New South. There were leaders in the South who wanted to create a strong South again. Now, Henry W. Grady, whose picture you see there, the editor of the Atlanta Constitution, is credited with the popular phrase of, quote-unquote, a New South, okay? Now, the New South would be a strong industrial economy. The New South would be a strong industrial economy. So the growth of industry. Northern financiers, okay, and powerful Southerners brought economic changes to the South. Northern financiers, and powerful Southerners brought economic changes to the South. Thousands of miles of railroad were laid across the South by 1890. We see steel and iron developed in Birmingham, Alabama, and processing tobacco became a big business. We also see cotton mills began to appear in the South as well. So we see the South kind of moving away from agriculture and trying to become a more industrialized, factory-based economy. So struggles and sharecropping. Despite industrial growth, many areas in the South continued to depend on farming. Very few worked in manufacturing. African Americans also struggled in the South after Reconstruction. Many returned to farms owned by whites and worked the land for low wages, or as what were called tenant farmers. Now, tenant farmers had to pay for the land they farmed. They really didn't own the land they farmed. They had to pay to farm the land that they were on. Eventually, tenant farmers became something else called sharecroppers. So sharecroppers works like this. Or sharecropping, I should say, works like this. Instead of paying cash for the land they were farming, they paid landowners in a share or a part of their crops. Okay, so that's how they were able to pay for the land they were farming. Sharecroppers had to buy supplies and tools from country stores who only accepted credit for those things, okay? Many of you probably know about your mom or dad, or maybe yourself having credit cards, and it's important to have good credit. So sharecroppers had to pay for their things on credit. They couldn't really use cash. Now, many times, just like in society sometimes, people can't afford to pay off their credit cards. The sharecroppers couldn't afford to pay back the debt that they owed on the credit, and many of them, because of this, were unable to get off the land that they rented. So it's kind of like a circle. They work the land, they pay for it in crops, they use the credit to try and buy tools, they can't buy or pay back their debt, so they have to keep working on the land. So it's a cycle. So this unfortunately kind of crushed many African Americans into staying on the land pretty much as slaves again. They weren't really slaves in the sense of what they were in the past, but they were working the land and kind of stuck in poverty. Okay, so as you can see in the picture here, that debt was kind of crushing African Americans as well, even though that guy there is looks like he's white, but the debt was definitely crushing African Americans as well. All right, so our closure question. What changes came about in the New South? Think about how the New South is trying to industrialize. What are they trying to do? What types of industries are taking place? And also think about how, African Americans are struggling with the sharecropping system and tenant farming as well. All right, now I'll help you answer your questions. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I hope to talk to y'all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.